Good evening and welcome to the fourth episode of our Women in Pride series. And I'm Afra from from the Nanagyan team. And today I will be joined by two very distinguished guests who have been involved in changing the lives of many through healing, and not just a form or two of healing. They have ventured into the very non-conventional yet effective forms of healing, which are very intriguing, and I'm very excited to interview them about it. So, my two esteemed guests for the day are Mrs. Anjali Bapat from the Heartfulness Institute and Mrs. Kuhoo Gupta from the K Junction. So, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am, Anjali, ma'am.
For introducing me that way. I'm very humbled and I'm very glad to be here today on this platform.
Thank you. It is an honor to have an esteemed guest as yourself here. So, ma'am, before I kind of begin, I'd like you to please introduce yourself to the viewers and speak about your line of work, which I'm sure everyone would be very eager to know. So, you have the
Okay.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Afra. So, I'm Anjali Bapat. I am a special educator and I help schools to, uh, to implement inclusive education practices. Uh, Apart from that, I'm also a heartfulness trainer and I'm working specifically for school programs very actively. So, Heartfulness is a non-profit institute, and we share meditation and relaxation practices with all willing seekers in various aspects of life, whether it's corporate, college, school, government, rural areas, you name it, we are there. It's And for each group, we have a very specific tailor-made program, and we have so for the school community as well. So I'm one of the members who is implementing this and coordinating things at times at a national level, at times at a state level. We've been working very intensively with schools, with government schools, with Parishad schools, and we have trained 15,000 teachers so far through our programs and around 3,000 students in the government sector and many, many more in the private sector as well. Uh, so I'm very, very deeply involved in this. Uh, all of us heartfulness trainers, we are all volunteers, and all our programs, all our trainings are also free of cost because, and we are doing this work from the heart. We are not receiving any remuneration either for this, and we're spending a lot, long hours of our day doing this because we have experience that inner transformation, that peace, that centeredness, that joy. And we feel it's everyone's right to at least have the opportunity to experience it. And that is why me and many others like me are fully involved in this work. And it's free of cost because there shouldn't be any financial barrier to access something of this proportion. So I've been in the field of special ed first as a volunteer. I think my journey began around 20 years ago when I was in the UK, and I was I was volunteering with the organization called Promoting Inclusive Partnerships. And so my volunteering journey began then. And over the years, when I was in Singapore, I did a course where I trained to be a special educator. And now, for the almost past 9 years, I've been a special educator. And now I'm working more in a consulting capacity. So that's my profession and my passion all together. And this is the work that we have been doing.
That is definitely a very impressive, journey that you have talked about. So, wait, I was just curious. The word heartfulness that you say, is it just a play around words, or is it actually something? Does it actually account for something? Does it mean something?
I'm glad that you are thinking deeply about the name, and that's the whole objective of calling it that. Yes, it is meaningful because this particular practice of meditation we do by focusing on our heart. We bring our awareness very gently, very effortlessly to our heart, and from there we begin our meditation. And so, this kind of heartfulness meditation has two very unique aspects which I've not seen in other practices. One is the concept of yogic transmission. So, the deep impact that one feels when meditating is because of this transmission, and you very quickly get into the very deep states of consciousness because of this transmission. And the second unique feature is the cleaning technique. We have the rejuvenation technique, which allows you to declutter your mind and remove a lot of emotional baggages which are stored in us in the form of impressions. And that is something very unique to this practice, and it makes it very, very effective. Because I have been practicing meditation from 1995, first in another system till 2010, and 2010 onwards, I've been in Heartfulness. So while the earlier practice also helped me tremendously, my journey just took off once I joined Heartfulness, and it was because of these two unique practices. So these are the unique features of heartfulness, and it's a heart-centered meditation. And we all are known by qualities of our heart, right? Our real existence, if you say, begins with the heartbeat. One of the first organs to develop in the fetus is the heart. And when we, even though when we describe someone, we describe them as a good-hearted person, or I
Hmm.
took it to heart. So a heart is a very important organ in the body, and we all know its physical importance, that it pumps blood and all those things. But many of us really, I mean, there's a lot more research coming in now, but the real role of the heart, and they are saying there are around 40,000 neurons in the heart. Neurons, we know, are brain cells, but there are
Yes.
40,000 neurons in the heart, and they have seen that a lot more messages are passed from the heart to the brain than vice versa. That is the latest studies, and if there's a organization called the Heart Math Institute, which is doing very deep research on this area. So there is something much more than we know about the process and how the heart is actually working, and the real importance of this organ in our heart, in our body. And that is why I think it's very, very crucial that we all understand the importance and try and pay attention to it for our own benefit.
I personally think this is such a unique take on things, a very new perspective that I'm personally getting to know. Because typically we talk about feeding the soul, keeping our soul healthy, and soul-centered therapies is what I've normally heard about. And so when you talk about the heart, I think it just opens up to so many novel therapies, with regards to healing a person, and it's very, very fascinating. So thank you for enlightening me and many others who are watching this. I'll just get to Kuhu ma'am now. I'd like to welcome you to this live session. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Afra. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I read up about your impressive. I mean, impressive is not the word. I mean, my jaw dropped. Honestly, you have so many feathers in your hat, and I'm very curious to know about what you do, and from the Reiki, the Lama Fera, a lot of many things which I've actually never heard of. So I would love to hear from you.
Okay, so let me start from the beginning. Spirituality. So basically, I'm a spiritual healer, and to be honest, spirituality was never in the picture in my life till a decade back. Okay, so I am basically a software engineer. I'm a computer science engineer, MTech from IIT Bombay. And when people listen to this, that I am an engineer from IIT Bombay, they say that ऐसे कैसे मतलब engineer
Yeah.
to spiritual healer, such a diagonally opposite field. How come you are here? So this was never in my plan, but yes, probably it was in my soul's plan. That's why I just landed over here. So after doing, I mean, I have been a singer all my life. My parents say that I started singing when I was 3. So singing was always, my passion. And throughout the school and college, I was a very good singer. I participated in national level competitions, even Z Sare Gama Pa. And after my MTech, I worked with the corporate field for 7, 8 years. And I also did pursued my music all this while. Until then, uh, the only spiritual thing that I knew was yoga, and that too in a very shallow sense, I would say. So that was the thing. And then life took a major turn, there was a traumatic incident in my life, personal life, and you know चीजें हिल गई एकदम. ठीक है, तो then I was like clueless why this is happening to me. We all have this question, why me? मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों हुआ? So that was I mean, I was in the same condition, and was like, why me? ऐसा क्या मैंने किया जो मेरे साथ ऐसा ऐसा हुआ? And then I was taking medicines and everything. The family was supporting very well after all this. But then I felt कि there's something beyond which needs repair, which needs healing. तब जाके कुछ solace मिलेगा या कुछ answers मिलेंगे. So ऐसा बोलते हैं ना कि अगर आप कुछ चाहो तो वो आपके सामने आ जाता है कहीं ना कहीं से भी. From the ways that you have never heard of, वो ऐसे सामने आ जाता है. So when I was kind of seeking कि ये सब क्यों है, क्या है, then somehow this there's this healer teacher of mine who just popped out from nowhere कि ये मेरे सामने आई और उन्होंने खुद बोला कि why don't you go for therapy, healing therapy, spiritual healing. And that time I was not at all aware that what exactly is spiritual healing. कुछ भी idea नहीं था. And that therapy was breath work and past life regression. And at that time, the only thing I knew about past life regression was that some कोई टीवी सीरियल आता था तब जो एक पर्सन को लटाकर उनको पास्ट लाइफ में रिग्रेस करते थे, and it was kind of scary, and it was not really welcoming कि हाँ past life regression. So I thought, there is nothing to lose. Let me do past life regression therapy for me. And after one session of that therapy, I just felt a lot of peace, and so many answers came to me. And that was the starting of my spiritual journey. Okay. उसके बाद एक के बाद एक I started healing myself through various therapies. A lot of things happened. Past life regression happened. Reiki happened. Very important step in my life. I learned Reiki. I practiced Reiki, healed and transformed through Reiki. और फिर वो कहते हैं ना कि आप जिस जिस एक फील्ड में अगर आप घुस जाते हैं तो आपको तब पता चलता है कि यहाँ पे कितनी सारी चीजें हैं जो कि कभी ना हमने सोची थी, ना कभी हमने एक्सप्लोर की थी. तो धीरे धीरे वो पत्ते खुलते चले गए और I learned lot of things, but I would still say कि अभी तो बहुत कुछ unexplored बाकी है. I think Miss Anjali would agree to this कि ये spirituality is something like a huge ocean. हम कितना भी कर लें एक लाइफ टाइम में हम एक ड्रॉप भी शायद नहीं उसको कर पाएंगे. So when you say a lot of feathers in my cap, एक पॉइंट पे मुझे लगता है yes, but then there is so much to be done, to be explored, to learn, to heal, to evolve as a soul that दिल्ली अभी बहुत दूर है. So that's how things happen. And जब ये सब मैंने जब मुझे थेरेपी से इतना फायदा मिला और जब मैंने देखा that so much transformation has happened, so much healing has happened, then at some point I thought, world needs healing. जैसे मैं संचली ने भी बोला कि she's doing on a voluntary basis because people need healing. किसको आज की तारीख में healing की जरूरत नहीं है? There's no one who could say I'm perfectly healthy physically, mentally and emotionally. There's no one, right? Even we as spiritual healers, we are also not perfect. We are on a journey. Everyone is on a journey to of self healing, of evolution, of raising our own soul. So ये करती चली गई. तो then I thought कि why not simultaneously खुद तो heal हो ही रहे हैं, why not help others who seek help, जिन्हें शायद पता भी नहीं है कि ये सब चीजें होती हैं. all majority of the people know कि अगर कुछ issue है तो हमें डॉक्टर के पास जाना है, right? But डॉक्टर से पहले आप अपने लेवल पे कितना कुछ कर सकते हैं. Number one, to prevent these things. Number two, to heal also ailments. डॉक्टर से पहले भी आप बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं इन अ नॉन इन्वेजिव वे, इन अ वेरी नेचुरल वे, है ना? सो दैट वाज माय मोटिव कि अगर मुझे इतना फायदा मिला है तो मैं दूसरों तक क्यों नहीं ये चीजें पहुंचाऊं। एंड दैट पॉइंट, somehow that transition happened from a software engineer or corporate wala kuhu to this version of which is like diametrically opposite. And yes, people still ask me ki you are from a technical background and this spirituality is like very hazy, very vague, right?
Yeah, abstract.
So do you really find logic in all these things? ये सब काम करता है? सब सच की बातें हैं या बस यूं ही नाम है? आई ऑलवेज से देम कि देखो, मैं एक जीता जाता एग्जाम्पल हूँ। अगर मेरे ऊपर ये चीजें वर्क कर सकती हैं, एक टेक्निकल एक लॉजिकल पर्सन के ऊपर, प्लस लॉट ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स फैमिली क्लाइंट, अगर इन सबके ऊपर वर्क कर सकती हैं तो कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा ही। कुछ ये बिना बात की चीज तो नहीं है। सो yeah, that's how my venture the K Junction was born. So the K Junction is an umbrella. K obviously means Kuhu, because I couldn't find, बहुत सारी चीजें थी जो मैं करना चाहती थी, जो ऑफर करना चाहती थी, हेल्प करना चाहती थी, so I just took this umbrella kind of name, the K Junction. So under this, I do healing workshop where I teach people how to self heal. अलग अलग therapies हैं, so वो सारी चीजें रहती हैं. I do consultations अगर किसी को कोई issues हैं तो उसके consultations, how do you heal yourself. I do distance healings, in person healings, reiki, lama fira, past life regression, inner child healing, hypnotherapy, बहुत सारी चीजें. Then I do crystals. I'm a crystal therapist as well. So वो है. And then I recently launched my new brand, Energy Vibe Jewels, which is um, premium jewelry with semi-precious healing crystals. So ये इतने सालों की journey in cut short in few
That's very
minutes.
nice because when you talk about healing, I can resonate with it because I'm a pranic healer and I know what does a healing does for a person, whether it is through meditation, whether it is through Reiki, or whether it is through pranic healing. Schools may be different, but the purpose of every school is the same, where we talk about transforming somebody's life through energy. So,
Right.
to be very honest, all the viewers, we are from different schools, but we all realize that our physical body and our soul needs to be nurtured in a very different manner, and the ways are different. But the ultimate aim is that everybody should be happy and be connected with their souls. Because in
Right.
this world, we forget what is the essence of our soul, to and why are we here. So it was lovely listening to both of these ladies who talked about heartfulness and who talked about other things when it comes to healing, distance healing, lama fera, and these are the new words maybe for others. But to go and the people, those who want to know about it, stay tuned. You will be getting more updates related to it. Yes, Afra, go ahead.
So, I mean, I would first like to tell Kuhu ma'am that, typically when we go for therapy, when we kind of try to deal with personal issues, or, there's a tragedy in your life, you try to seek, therapy. As such, people tend to do it for themselves and just implement it on themselves. So it's very rare for people to kind of, create this chain where they extend that to people, where they, set out to help many other people. And it's so impressive that you actually set up this whole K junction, the foundation that you say, and you've mastered so many arts, like different ways to help people. It's very impressive, and I think I'm quite sure a lot of people hearing this may be very interested to try these out because they do sound very intriguing and fascinating. But I
Definitely,
would like to ask,
definitely.
yes, I'd like to ask Anjali ma'am though, since I mean Kuhu ma'am shared her experience, did you feel when you got into mindfulness as a coach, like you said that you started out as a volunteer, so when you were getting into this, did you feel like it was a calling for you as such, or was there a personal experience attached to this? How did you get to the point where you are?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. So, when I got into meditation many years ago, 1995, there was nothing wrong with my life. I was in my early 20s, and there was some inner longing in me that I'm looking for something. And I was trying to put my finger on what it was. And when I came across the meditation technique that I did find that time, it was an aha moment. This is what I've been waiting for so long. And there was some kind of, ecstatic joy almost that I found something. I continued on that path. It really led me to the point where I came to one of the best parts, I will say, which is heartfulness. And from there, my journey just took off. And even at that point, when I was at crossroads, that I was here and now things need to be taken to the next level. Uh, Again, my life was good. There was, I mean, it's not that everyone's lives there are ups and downs. It's not that I have not had no one can escape it, right? Every life has its own valleys and its own sunshine. So I was going through that, but the moments of switchover or of uh, acceleration or ascension were not coinciding with low moments in my life. In fact, there were moments when everything was fine, and then I said, "This can't be all. There is something more. There is something deeper. And I'm missing it. I'm looking for that." And there was some kind of inner thirst in me that was looking for something more. And again, when I found this path, there was a sense of relief, almost to the point of tears, that now finally I am where I need to be. There was another dimension that opened up in my life. So I don't know. I know this is not very relatable because many people say that because I was in a very low point, then I found this and then I came. But that was not how it was with me. In spite of everything being fine in my life, I had a nice family, lovely husband, good children, everything was fine, but there was still some yearning in me. I was yearning for something. And I feel I have found I'm not saying I've acquired the condition completely, but I know I'm on the path by which I can acquire that condition, and I can feel that the journey is going on and it is accelerating through my practice every day. So yeah, that was interesting to. I mean, it's not a very typical journey, but this is how it was for me.
No, but definitely it is something to kind of make an example out of, that you need not always be low to kind of go on the
Yeah.
soul searching journey. I think I am personally very intrigued. I'm actually very inspired by this, to be honest, because typically my thought process is, I mean, unless you are, beaten down by something, you have other things to worry about. There's things, I mean, even if I am in a state of, let's say I don't have anything to worry about, there are still things that nag at me, that okay, I can't be pondering upon my low point now, I need to be working on something else. Yeah, but so when I'm happy also, there's something I am worried about, that okay, if I kind of, I only have to be sad in order to kind of, pursue any sort of soul searching thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise there are other things that I need to look into. I can't be wasting my
Hmm.
time on that. So really does, change my perspective around this. But
Yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you. This is
Yeah.
very
In
new
fact, I
to
will
me,
I
and I
will
think,
say that, if you wait for a point when you're so low, then it's
yeah,
harder to actually benefit from the
yes,
practice.
yes,
But if you join
definitely,
when you're in a good space, that is when you should be actually starting the practice. When you're
yes,
young,
that's
when you're youthful, when you're happy, these are the times to begin a practice such as meditation. Not when you're old, when you're sick, when you're in pain, because it's all the
exactly,
more
yeah.
difficult to benefit from a practice when you're in that really low point in your lives. So I urge anyone who's listening, if you feel there's nothing wrong with me, I don't need to learn how to meditate. In fact, now is the time you should go and meditate. Now is the time you should learn
Definitely.
about a practice like that, because there is no life who can escape a low point. And when that low point comes, you will be exhibiting grace under pressure because you are learned a practice in the good times.
I
I
really
think the
want to add
mindfulness has
upon
already
here.
started.
Yeah, just wanted to add upon here with what Ms. Anjali said, that it's very important for everyone to realize that ऐसा नहीं है कि meditation is about retired people. No, there is
Exactly.
this connotation कि अगर ये ध्यान, सत्संग, meditation ये सब जो है ना आप retire हो गए उसके बाद करना है. In fact, meditation in the simplest form, even kids should be doing it, right? The habit starts from childhood. So अगर बचपन से ही हम लोग ये develop कराएं in very simple ways, not very intense meditation, simple meditations, mindfulness techniques for the kids, that is going to be a long way in developing a habit in them, and they will be much more stable, grounded as they grow into adults. So that's
Right.
also one part of my work, that I try to introduce these techniques to kids, mindfulness technique to kids. And I'm just so happy to share that when I did my first workshop for kids mindfulness, na, kids were so happy, and they were like waiting, kuhu auntie aapka next day mein kya sikhayenge, and
Yeah.
parents were very happy with all this, because kids really enjoy this. हमें ऐसा लगता है कि बच्चे क्या करेंगे ये सब, लेकिन they really enjoy all these techniques.
Yes, they do. They do. We have a relaxation technique in Heartfulness that we teach to young children, and it's amazing. They are almost absorbed in. I mean, we don't teach very young children to meditate in our system. It's 15 years and above. But the relaxation, even that the little ones, the 5 and 6 year olds do, they are almost completely absorbed because they're so pure and so
Yeah.
tender, and they feel so nice after that, and they are
Yeah.
looking forward to the sessions. We have a curriculum called the Heartfulness Way, which we are implementing in schools. And children look forward to that because our questions are very introspective. It's a question that you can't find on Google. They have to think about it, and they love that process. And of course, the relaxation, and the overall joyful and loving environment that those lessons create is what they really love.
Awesome.
It's a joy to work
That's
with
lovely.
children.
It's absolutely lovely. But as such, the two of you, I mean, even from talking to you, the two of you exude so much positivity and, good vibes and warmth. So that itself, I'm sure, serves as motivation. But who do you, or who or what do you look up to in terms of inspiration or motivation? Who do you turn to? Anjali, ma'am, you can go first.
Sure, sure. So, yes, now I am following a path, and Heartfulness is actually a 75-year-old organization. Earlier, it was known as Sri Ramchandra Mission, and it was established by Sri Ramchandra of Shahjahanpur, who was the founder member of this system of meditation. And this system was actually it's a very age-old practice which has been with the Indian tradition for centuries. It was lost for a couple of centuries in the middle, and the first president of the mission is the one who rediscovered it 150 years back, and then his disciple is the one who started the mission. And thereafter, there was the next president of the mission was from the south of India. He was known as Chariji, and the current global guide for heartfulness is known as Shri Kamlesh Patel. He is currently in Hyderabad, and of course, we all look up to him for guidance, spiritual guidance, guidance in our daily lives. He's a perfect example of someone who's balanced both the material and the spiritual lives. Because in our system, we say, life is like a bird with two wings, one of spirituality and one of materiality. And if you focus on only one, even if you go too much into spirituality, that's also an imbalance, neglecting your worldly responsibilities. Or if you're only after material goals, that's also an imbalance. You need to balance both, or you need to spiritualize everything, your material goals as well. And that's when your life really takes off. And Shri Kamlesh Patel is a perfect example in my view. He's a householder, he was married, he has children, he has grandchildren. He was a businessman, he was a pharmacist, and he has a chain of pharmacy shops in New York. Right now, he's, of course, retired, and now he's in Kana Shantivanam, which is a beautiful, serene meditation retreat in Hyderabad, which everyone is invited to come and visit. So, for me, he is the epitome of inspiration. And I'm in any doubt, any question, I just close my eyes, connect within, and the answers are revealed through our guide. So for me, he is the inspiration behind everything I do, whether it's in my special ed. I mean, I have had many moments, even in my special ed classrooms, working with some very difficult children who they themselves have such a hard time just being who they are. And sometimes it becomes hard for all of us to, watch them or even work with them, and we are struggling to find good solutions whereby that child is also comfortable and we are also meaningfully imparting something to them. So whether it is in spirituality or it's in my work, I always derive that inspiration from within. And it's because we all are connected through the heart to the source through our global guide, Coach Shri Kamlesh Patel.
It's a
So
very
he's my
lovely thing.
inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
So the person whom I look up to as an inspiration would be many actually, because I have learned from many teachers, many gurus. So there won't be any single person to name, but all of them whom I've learned from, and of course my parents and all my gurus, I look up to them very much and feel really inspired. और जब कभी जब हम बहुत डाउन हो जाती हूँ या थिंग्स thoughts like this enter in my mind कि यार ये सब नहीं करना क्यों करना है, then I go back to my older self and then compare myself to this self, and then I say, no, if the divine has given me this opportunity to explore, to practice, to learn, and to spread awareness about all these therapies, then I have to be on my path. So all of this really clubs together to be an inspiration to me. So yeah, in short, that way.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And it does take a lot to kind of set out on this path to inspire people and actually do good for them. As I said, typically people are more preoccupied with themselves these days. So again, with regards to that, as I like when I speak about mindfulness, what I understand from it, I mean, I may be wrong. Please feel free to correct me. What I understand from it is kind of working on yourself in terms of trying to regulate your reactions in situations which could potentially trigger the worst in you. Yeah, and essentially trying to not let the most adverse things affect you in what ways they could. But typically these days we see that, as I said, it's I mean I may be using the wrong word for it, but it's more like a self healing sort of thing. You're focusing on yourself. So does, in my opinion, I mean, I want to ask you, in your opinion, sorry, does mindfulness have any role in people's lives when they set out to change things for communities, like work for marginalized communities or anything? Does mindfulness play a role in kind of triggering that thought process or inspiring someone to do good for a community, for example?
That's a beautiful question, Afra. So, I think you're saying that when you're focusing so much on yourself, does it really connect you with the other, or are you
Yes.
able to look outside more sensitively? And I
Yeah.
would say you're absolutely right, because when you do a practice such as meditation, your heart becomes very sensitive, okay,
Mm,
and you start feeling the pain of others. You start
mm,
feeling the problems of others, and you feel that what can I do? Can I help? And that journey begins, that how can I help my fellow brothers and sisters around me who are suffering, who are in pain. So, yes, that does happen. Your sensitivity does increase, and Heartfulness does have many uh, uh, outreach programs to underprivileged people as well, in many different walks of life. So that does happen, and not only so. So we don't just focus on only, because see, anyone can be miserable, anyone can be feeling bad. Just because they come from an affluent background doesn't make their misery any less. Okay, so anyone who is in pain, anyone who needs the help, you are there for them. Not only for specific sections of society, but for the whole of mankind. Whoever needs your help, you will you say, I belong to you. I'm here for you, and I will try my best to do whatever it is to relieve your pain. So, yes, that feeling of oneness, that love flowing from the heart for anybody, whether you know them or not, that starts growing more and more. You start feeling very connected with everyone, and you feel that everyone is me and I am everybody, or
mm,
everyone is very close to my heart. That feeling does start coming, and that is why you start feeling they're all my family members. It's my responsibility to do whatever I can to help them. So, by focusing on yourself and on your heart, and removing all the clutter that is there, removing all the impressions and coverings, that purity of your heart starts really shining through. And these qualities, such as compassion and love, just start radiating out of you. Like when you're near a fire, you feel the warmth. When you're near a person who is meditating for a long time, you just feel that peace. And you find that people come and say, I just feel good when I'm with you. I don't know why. So that starts happening automatically, that you start feeling connected and you start feeling a lot of love for everyone around.
That's a beautiful response. Thank you, ma'am. Kuhu, ma'am, anything you'd like to add to that or share?
Definitely. So when you say that if you're doing self healing, how are you motivated enough to help others? Now,
Yeah.
I'll come from a different background, but merge with what Ms. Anjali said. See, healing means I always say that our seven chakras are the basis of our lives, right? Seven chakras of our body, which are the energy centers. Now, seven chakras means this one, two, three. नीचे से 1 2 3 and center में there is heart. Okay, so what Ms. Anjali said about heartfulness, heart opens up. So what is healing all about? When you heal your seven chakras, the upper seven chakras and the lower seven chakras are about physical worldly needs, desires, and higher upper chakras, three upper chakras are more towards spirituality, connection to the divine. And this middle heart chakra is that creates the balance of upper spiritual chakras and the lower worldly chakras. And as she already mentioned, it's very important to have that balance of spirituality and worldly affairs. So when we do self healing, we are actually healing our chakras. And while we heal our chakras and balance out our chakras, our heart chakra, which is the center of all the chakra system, it opens up, it balances top and down wala chakras. And when it opens up, we all are open to give and receive unconditional love. Okay, and that really helps us to become more, develop more empathy towards others. So we are actually able to empathize with what others are feeling, others are going through. It's not sympathy, it's empathy, which is very different. And yes, people do feel that, I'm sure healers have heard this comment many times, that when we are near you, we feel better, we feel positive, for the simple reason that the aura of a person who is meditating or doing any kind of healing practice is positive, it's bigger. So whenever somebody is you know interacting with a healer, with a meditator, be it just an online conversation, the auras interconnect with each other, and the other person feels good because there's so much positivity, positive energy, prana in the aura of that person. So that way the other person feels good, and because a healer's or meditator's heart is open to give and receive unconditional love, the empathy is more, and that's why the desire to help others is definitely there. सो वो जो एक फीलिंग होती है कि नहीं मैं अपना कर रही हूँ, दैट्स इट, आगे कुछ नहीं, वो नहीं रहती है. um, वो नहीं रहती because there is no difference between you and the other person. You actually feel the pain of others in a similar way you would feel your pain. So definitely you would want to help out that person. And because we know the therapy that we have benefited out, then we think कि क्यों नहीं, दूसरे को भी क्यों नहीं benefit मिलना चाहिए इन सब चीजों का.
Okay. So I would just like to kind of pick this one point which Anjali ma'am had spoken about. So you said that, when somebody is mindful, when they start practicing or implementing mindfulness, their heart becomes more sensitive. So with regards to that, I mean, okay, when I'm comparing it with problems around the world, obviously we as individuals do not have to feel responsible for everything that is going around in the world. Obviously, in our capacities, we try and do as much as we can, but is it possible that at some point practicing mindfulness could maybe overwhelm you, that you are very small and insignificant compared to the problems, and what you do may not be enough, and you're not able to as such reach out to many people? Because I at times tend to feel so I would like to know both of your views on that.
Yes, I think when you're a sensitive person, that does happen, especially when you feel everyone's pain. I think
Yeah.
there's one ghazal that I remember which had really touched me. And I think the words were something like this, कि या इस धरती के जख्म मिटा दे या मेरा दिल पत्थर कर दे. You know that I just can't see so much of sadness around me and it moves me.
Hmm.
So sometimes that can happen that you feel someone's pain intensely, but at the end, when you really do a practice like that, who you identify with also changes. That who am I really? Uh, So we start actually identifying ourselves with a higher self with a capital S. We are not this limited person. I am not just this Anjali of flesh and bones. You know, I'm somewhere something more. I'm my highest self. So when we are meditating, we experience this expansion. We experience our subtle body expanding, and we kind of move out of that limited identity of this Anjali who is flesh and bones, who is a woman, who is a mother. We become something much larger. And for that entity, nothing is impossible. So it's not about egoistic, it's about um, identifying with something greater, and and of course the impressions of sadness or grief that you do correct sometimes in certain situations. In our system we have this rejuvenation technique which we are able to just remove these impressions and rejuvenate yourself. And so because many people ask me this, that don't you get compassion fatigue? You have so many people coming to you with varying degrees of problems, and you must be feeling so tired at the end of the day. But actually in our system we are connecting with the source. So I am not providing them energy from my limited source. I'm connecting with something infinite, and that is why I don't get tired. And I also have a technique where I can brush off the impressions and feel fresh and rejuvenated. And that is why, even though I know that there's so many miseries around, and what can I, as one person, do? But when I'm connected with many like myself, we can do a lot. So that's one concept of interconnectedness and where we are all going with this. We say that this age is moving from the material to the spiritual, and we realize slowly that we are not alone, we are all interconnected. And when we can all begin practicing techniques which are evolving our consciousness, it will generate some kind of collective energy or a tipping point or something that we can call an egregore. That's a collective energy. And then we can really start changing the course that mankind is taking. So, this evolution can happen through collective practice. And then you realize I'm not this limited self, I'm so many of us together, and I have the strength of everyone. So, this awareness that I'm not alone, I'm not myself, but I'm many, and I'm a capital S, a self with a capital S, that allows you to remain flowing and giving and not getting bogged down by how can I solve this. So the idea is to create an egregore so that all these miseries are shifting to a higher level of consciousness.
That's actually a very unique thing I've heard. I've never heard someone saying that, I'm able to, let the positivity flow freely without, limiting myself or inhibiting myself because I've been kind of weighed down by someone's energies of negativity as such. But I'd like to know your views, Kuhu ma'am, on this.
So when you say that lot of negativity comes in front of you, and then why don't you get bogged down with all this? One thing that I want to tell you here is, as a healer or as a meditator or as a facilitator of mindfulness or whatever you call it, it is not our whole and soul responsibility to make the other person feel super happy and super healed, because everyone is on their own journey. Every soul's journey is different, right? Taking responsibility to to make that soul journey perfectly smooth is a wrong expectation. Everybody has a soul journey, everybody has different karmas that they are coming from, and जो कर्मा है जो बैलेंस करने हैं वो तो करने ही होंगे. There is no spiritual bypassing that can happen, right? So if somebody is in a, and this thing happens very clearly when someone from your very loved one, your family member or your close friends are going through a bad patch, and then you feel so helpless कि मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ इस चीज के लिए. But whatever we can do as a healer, we should definitely do it without getting attached to how the other person is feeling. We have to be empathetic enough, but not attached so much that we drain out our own energy in this process, because they are on their journey, which the journey is always evolution of the soul. So जो भी कुछ किसी के साथ बुरा हो रहा है वो किसी ना किसी लर्निंग के लिए ही हो रहा है. Somebody needs to learn a life lesson, and that's why something traumatic is happening to somebody's life. So it is only going towards the evolution of the soul. No, आगे ही बढ़ रहा है वो soul. So there's nothing to feel very sad about, because to have this awareness in your mind that if something traumatic is happening with our loved ones जो भी हमारे सामने है, instead of being bogged down with this emotion that मैं कितना help कर सकती हूँ, क्या कर सकती हूँ, whatever we can do to help that soul to heal and to be in that spiritual journey of healing, that's what we should be doing. Because at the end उनका ही karma balance होगा, their soul will evolve, and as their soul will evolve, the collective consciousness will also evolve, and we all are a part of the collective consciousness. So effectively it is good for all of us कि हम धीरे धीरे as a soul evolve हो, heal हो, we all learn our life lessons जिसके लिए भी हम इस life में आए हैं. So a fine line between the empathy and detachment has to be maintained as a healer, and definitely with this awareness कि जो हो रहा है evolution के लिए ही हो रहा है, collective evolution के लिए. And yes, then the entire earth is on that journey, shifting gears. So yeah.
Yeah, I think when you kind of accept that, as you said, it's a journey of evolution, you really stop blaming circumstances and you actually start to appreciate that, this would get you somewhere, perhaps at a good place in life. So, just one more question, which I was actually, I've seen this in a lot of people, and I think that, some people who don't react to situations, they say, when you try to provoke them as much as you want, they won't respond to you. They won't say, they have this set thing that I'm not going to behave in a certain way in front of certain people, okay, because this person deliberately triggers me as such. And, so obviously that would be due to some sort of mindfulness and some sort of self control. But do you think at some point, that could be exploited and be assumed as complacency, that this person is going to be complacent and whatever I do, I can keep poking this person? Do you think mindfulness can lead to a sort of passivity or a complacency? Anyone can take this question. Ma'am, you're muted, sorry.
Yes, so people do tend to think that will I just become so placid and that
Yeah.
nothing will matter to me. But actually, that's not what happens.
Hmm.
So there's a phrase which means yoga karmasu kaushalam, means yoga or union with your higher self actually makes you excellent in everything you do. So when I'm in that flow state, when I'm connecting with my higher self, and then I'm letting things flow, whatever I do is the right thing to do. Whatever I say is the right thing to say, and whatever words come out are the correct words. So if suppose someone is provoking me, the obviously the wrong thing to do is to just give it back, right? What is the better thing to do is to be able to take a pause and to give the correct answer, to give the right response, okay, from reaction to response. That is what meditation allows us to do. So it actually allows you to work in a better way. It doesn't stop you from working. It improves your efficiency. It improves your work. So Now they say an average person thinks 60 to 80,000 thoughts in a day. And definitely none of us do that much work in the day. So we're using our mind so inefficiently. But through these practices, we are able to reduce the number of thoughts in our mind. We're going to work in a better way. Whatever we do is going to be more efficient, quality is going to be better. Since we're not stressed, the ideas are going to be flowing. So it's not actually, that's not how it works. And this is my experience. Like maybe earlier I would get confused or cluttered, but through practice, I find so much of clarity comes. And I'm actually working much better. And things just flow, and I get surprised by the reactions to whatever work is happening, and it's so effortless. Though I've been working, in that short span, so much of work happened, I didn't feel it. And the quality of the work was so good that it was appreciated. So these things happen very naturally. That when you're doing a practice such as meditation, you don't become complacent or lazy, but the kind of work you do really actually becomes the quality of your work really goes up. Your efficiency is better, and you're less stressed when you're doing anything. So they're all boxes are checked, and there is no reason not to meditate just because you're in the corporate world. In fact, we have so many meditators with us in Heartfulness who are in very, very high positions, um, in very important companies, and
Hmm.
they are doing excellent. They are CEOs or they're VPs or whatever it is, and they are managing it so well just because they're doing the practice. So that's what I would have to
Thank
say.
you. Thank you. And Kuhu, ma'am?
So when you say that if you provoke the other person, um, he or she might be complacent. It's not really about being complacent. If you say the same thing to some other person, he might get provoked. Why this provocation happens? The question is that the provocation happens because there is some belief system in our mind, which is saying ki, hey, this is not right. Let me what do you say, uh, revolt on this is not right. But when we are into a healing space, we subconsciously heal our belief systems. Also, we get rid of the belief systems that are not causing any good to us, which are limiting our progress in evolution. So as we get rid of unwanted belief systems in our entire energy system, the chance of being provoked decreases. So if some provocation happens from the outside, it doesn't really bother much because number one, those belief systems are, they have gone, we have released them. Number two, we start operating from a space of forgiveness, from the space of compassion, so that हमें लगता है कि सामने वाला या तो जबरदस्ती ये सब कर रहा है प्रवोक करने के लिए, या फिर वो नादान है. So let's just pass it pass it off. But yes, that doesn't mean that कुछ भी आप बोलेंगे, and you know
Yes.
there is this thing कि healer है तो उनको तो कभी गुस्सा नहीं आएगा या कुछ नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
expectation is also wrong, because we as a healer are also on a journey. It's not that we have achieved each and everything, we have healed every aspect of our lives. ऐसा होता तो हम तो मोक्ष मिल जाता. So we are also in a journey. And definitely, I would say the chances of being provoked or getting defensive about something are less because of the mentioned reasons. But given the fact, yes, it's not that कि कभी कुछ होगा ही नहीं, and people should not assume this thing also कि नहीं ये healer है तो उनको तो आप कुछ भी बोल दो, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा इनको. ऐसा भी नहीं है.
Yeah, actually, I like that point that she brought out, that it doesn't mean you will not get angry, or and sometimes you even can choose to behave angry for effect or to get something done. It's not affecting you from inside. Your heart rate has not gone up, but you are putting on an act because that's what is required in that situation. So, suppose you're with your kids, sometimes you have to be firm about things, and
Yes.
that's okay. It's okay. As long as it's you are not spoiling your condition from inside, you can put on an act. And of course, sometimes you can lose it also. I'm not saying that can't happen, and that's also okay. That's also okay. So yeah, and so our tendencies, like earlier, especially you'll see if I'm in traffic, before we started the practice, somebody just comes and cuts and goes ahead and you're ready to
Yes.
four-letter words and you get so angry.
Hmm.
A few months into the practice, someone comes ahead, you'll say, okay, I guess that person is in a hurry. It's fine. So you learn to say it's okay. And these tendencies of the mind to get very angry or to be very fearful or to get depressed, these tendencies start changing. In our system, it's because of the cleaning practice, because the pre-programming that has happened because of your past experiences, you are able to change the program because you remove the impressions, and now you're able to take a new decision in a new way. It's like water flowing on the channel in the earth. It cuts a channel. If you pour water, it's going to go in. But if you are able to even it out and you pour water, it can now flow in another direction as well. So the neural pathways that have got very firmly ingrained start actually getting changed around, and you're able to take different decisions. So that does happen through the practice.
Sorry, I was mute and I started talking. So while going through listening to all your conversation at the background, I understood that how does a neural pathway works, how does the things are, and how how does a physical body and the a physical body is connected with your thought process, and how does the things happen all around. A very genuine questions asked was that how does forgiveness helps you, since you both are spiritual practitioners. And I have heard a lot of people when they come to their dead beds, they ask for forgiveness and they want to let go everything, and slowly steadily then they release their body where they're able to let go themselves, they're able to release themselves and move ahead for the higher journey. And it is not easy to forgive. So, in that case, what needs to be done? It's open to both. So, I'll ask Anjali ji to address first, then we'll back to Kuhu.
Okay. Yes, forgiveness is a very, very important practice. So, of course, begin with forgiving ourselves, making it a habit, and learning to forgive others. So, one of the practices we do in Heartfulness is right before we sleep at night, we go over the things in the day on a daily basis and try to think that what is it that I shouldn't have done maybe. Think about it and then really repent from the bottom of your heart and say, I'm really sorry I did that, and I resolve to not do it again. Beg for forgiveness from the higher source then and there. And when you really ask for that forgiveness genuinely, or express that, this is, I won't repeat this, uh, there is some release that happens in you. So that is one practice, of course, for our own selves. Even for people who come to us for training, we say that guilt actually creates one of the heaviest impressions in you and really weighs you down more than anything else you'll be carrying in your heart. So guilt is it's an absolutely useless emotion because if you are you are experiencing it after the incident has happened, and nothing you do can change that, and it makes you so heavy from within, and as you say, it can also create a situation where the person has to be reborn. And uh, but at that moment, if they are able to forgive themselves, that it will change possibly their spiritual destiny. So yes, guilt is something, and forgiveness is something that is very, very crucial for people on a spiritual path. I mean, not to be guilty and to forgive yourself and others, because it does create tremendous heaviness. But more than the healer removing your guilt, it's about the person self reflecting and going through that process themselves, releasing the guilt, forgiving themselves, forgiving others around them, is actually more of your individual practice than the healer helping you through. So that is something that we do say in the system, that the system, the energy can help you so much, but if you're holding on to your guilt or anger, that's difficult. But it's up to you to work on your own guilt and to release those things. And through the practices it is possible. So,
Okay.
uh,
So
yeah.
adding one more element to it, when someone says, I cannot forgive, you know, that person has done so many things in my life. I cannot forget that person. If I forgive, so am I supposed to behave with that person in a similar manner, which is not possible for me?
So you're
Then,
saying
then
if the
how do I
person,
behave and forgive that person?
how do you forgive a person who you think has done something very wrong? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, it's up to me. No matter how bad the crime is, that's what they that there's an example that a teacher is trying to tell the children in a classroom the importance of letting go, and she tells the children to carry boiled potatoes in a plastic bag for the whole week wherever they go, and if they hate two people, they need to have two potatoes. If they hate five people, they need to have five boiled potatoes, and they need to carry this around with them wherever they go. Now we know what's going to happen. You carry a boiled potato with you everywhere, it's going to start stinking. And the more potatoes you have, the heavier it was for the children. At the end of the week, they said, this was terrible, and Miss, we didn't like it. So she said, if just these boiled potatoes are creating so much stink and you're finding it so heavy to carry around with you, imagine a feeling of hatred towards someone which you have in your heart, or hardness that you have for someone to your heart. It's polluting your heart more than anyone else's. You are suffering. You are going to fall sick because of your grudges, because of your hatred. The other person may or may not be affected, but you are certainly going to be affected. So, how is it helping you by carrying that around? It's making you heavier. It is creating impurities in your heart. So, who does it benefit the most when you let go of your hatred or your hard feeling for someone? You are the biggest benefit. So, whether how no matter what how bad it is, whatever that person has done, if we hold on to it, we are only going to suffer. So
Thank you
maybe
so
the
much.
person doesn't
Will
deserve
you
to be
please?
forgiven. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much for giving that insights about forgiveness and a small story that we can relate to each other, that how heart feelings are. Can you share your thoughts about it?
So, as Buddha said, if you do not forgive somebody, you are holding a ball of fire in your own hands, right? It's not going to affect the other person, but you. You know, we don't know the other person is even aware of this fact that we are feeling, hatred about that person, or we are feeling bad that that person did so and so thing for us. But what we are doing to ourselves is we are just feeding ourselves with a lot of negative energy. And who wants negative energy in a, in the own system? So in this case, when you say that मैंने तो उसके साथ कुछ नहीं किया पर उसने मेरे साथ ऐसा कुछ किया, मैं कैसे forgive कर दूं? So in this case, probably we should go back to the theory of karma. Somewhere, in some life, in some phase of this life or past life, we have certainly done something wrong with that soul, and that's the reason that soul is bothering us at the moment. But हमें लगता है मैंने तो इसके साथ कुछ नहीं किया आज तक, कुछ एक परसेंट बुरा काम नहीं किया, इसने मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों किया? So just taking the benefit of doubt from the karma theory, because आफ्टर ऑल फॉरगिवनेस करके हमें ही बेटर होना है, हमें ही फायदा होना है. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ बीइंग इगोइस्टिक इनफ कि मैं कैसे फॉरगिव कर दूं, लेट्स बी सेंसिबल इनफ, forgive the person. When you start forgiveness, pehle pehle they are just words, they are not feelings, but when you be persistent about the forgiveness, phrase, your affirmation or whatever, gradually those words turn into your emotions, then those words start playing on your mind and you actually start forgiving the person. So it's hard to forgive the person who has done a lot of harm to us and हमने तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया उसके साथ, but ultimately that is the only way to go about it, and otherwise you are just harming yourself and continue to keep that burden in your heart, and the other person may not be even aware कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ है, क्या लेना देना उसको. So, for your own sanity, for your own healing, you need to forgive the person who has done harm to you. That's the only way to go forward.
Thank you so much. When we talk about this, the whole conversation of 1 hour that we had between you, Afra, and Anjali ma'am was really really enlightening, and viewers have really gave us a very good comments. Some says it was very interesting, amazing session, wonderful. So a lot of viewers have sent their comments on the group, and the one question is for you, Kuhu, which says that I have read that one's physical pain have an actual emotional reason. I have this in my leg pain at calves. Could you suggest anything? I work to put have learned Reiki.
Okay, so if the person has learned Reiki, then definitely give lots of Reiki to the pain portion. And yes, definitely each 90, if you see the statistics, above 98% of all the physical ailments, the root cause is something emotional, some emotional reason. So the conscious mind would not be able to identify which emotion might have caused this kind of pain. But if you go into a deep state of relaxation, if you maybe do a hypnotherapy with that person and regress the person to a little maybe childhood or teenage, somewhere backward in their lives, they might be able to find the emotional cause that is causing this physical pain, or the cause might also be in some of the past lives. So the subconscious of the mind of the person has all the answers. It's just a matter of how you dig into your subconscious and how you find that reason. The entire memory of all the past lifetimes of the soul is inside us. It's not somewhere outside, it is all inside us. So the simplest thing to do, at his or her end, would be to give Reiki to the pain portion, lots and lots of Reiki to the pain portion. And Reiki is a sensible energy, it will go to the root cause wherever it is needed and heal the pain.
Okay. So, one more question. It says, why isn't karma resolved in the same life? I think this is a big topic to deal with. Viewers will have a special session only designed for you for to talk about karma, because karma cannot be talked in a one or two lines. It has a very very deep meaning and deeper aspect to it. And it is not कि अभी मैंने दिया और अभी मुझे मिल गया. It has multiple aspects related to it. Many folds में इसके आंसर्स मिलते हैं. और इसकी जो रचना है, संरचना है, वो बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होती है. तो उसके लिए हम पूरा एक सेशन लेंगे डेफिनेटली इफ यू आर रियली रियली इंटरेस्टेड. एंड we'll come back to you with a proper discussion on it. Okay. I hope you all agree with this, right?
डेफिनेटली, अगर हम कर्मा के कॉन्सेप्ट को एक सेशन में नहीं समझा सकते तो कर्मा बैलेंस कैसे करेंगे एक लाइफ टाइम में? सिंपल एज दैट.
It is a long thing. We will definitely come back to it, and keeping the time constraint for both of you. We are already over time. We really apologize, but it was a fantastic session, energetic session. And see, after 1 hour, people are still interested to know more about it. It means you have kept the people entangled to it. I mean, people are still there waiting for you to know more about you. So, people like you are are more needed in the society, because you in your own way give those small things that satisfies their pain, satisfies their grief, satisfies their unresolved issues, right? So thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Afra, for conducting this session so beautifully. The questions was very nice and very thoughtful. We have comment for you also when somebody has said that at this young age, how are you able to connect so deeply? So that credit goes to you. Wonderful
Thank you.
comments. And thank you everybody for joining in for today's session. Viewers, those who are watching, be connected with us, because tomorrow again we are going to come up with a wonderful session with two awesome personalities. To know more about it, kindly be tuned. Till then, take care and have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.